Those Days with the Monsters, Part 50. It had been a few days since Kirill returned from Neurixis. The station seemed calm, like nothing had happened while he was gone, though he still hadn't seen Dopey much. The lights at the moment were dimmed, probably corresponding to the setting of the Cuman's star. Kirill wanted to be irritated. He'd asked the captain to let him join another trip, and to his surprise he hadn't said no. But he hadn't said yes either. Kirill was still waiting for a reply, any reply, and yet Captain Amelia was doing the vibrating thing next to him, and he had a long stick of yellow boiled corn, and it was so very hard to be annoyed. Footsteps sounded, and Captain Amelia looked up with a brrr sound. Smee, Alex and the captain came around the corner, and Alex and the captain stopped abruptly. "What the?" Alex muttered. Smee elbowed her. "He doesn't have scraping teeth. That's how he eats it. Makes him happy, let him be." Kirill's frills flushed purple with embarrassment. He knew he ate the stuff differently from the Cumans. He also knew that they tended to stare when he did it, so he must be doing it strangely, but knowing just made it more embarrassing. Was it because the end stuck out of the sides of his mouth, or because he was chewing gently to pop all the yellow bits so he could swallow what was inside? Did it take him too long to eat it? Was he, stars forbid, drooling? "He looks like a puppy with a big stick." Alex's voice sounded like a slightly swallowed squeak somehow. Kirill wasn't sure what that meant. He would have guessed it meant pain, but his translator didn't understand either, so that guess was probably wrong. He was pretty sure the translator would know what Cuman pain looked like. So what was that squeak? Some kind of strong emotional response? And why did Cumans have so many meanings for the word big stick? His translator was overworked trying to combine the threat of force and new toy into a single explanation. "Alex, you can't say things like that." Smee was protesting for some reason. "Why not?" Alex had tipped her head slightly. The gesture felt familiar to Kirill. Wasn't that what he did when confused? Had she borrowed that from him? "It might make him feel bad." "Why, it's just what he looks like. How would it make him feel bad?" Kirill's frills pulsed teal and fuchsia. He also wanted to know the answer. Had Alex said something she shouldn't say? And what about it shouldn't she say? "I mean," Smee looked awkward. "I don't know if I can explain without making it worse." "Making what worse?" Alex demanded. If Kirill could trust his interpretation of Cumans, she looked frustrated and sad. "I can't fix it if you can't explain it." Just as Kirill was wondering if he could slip away, the captain intervened. "Calm down, both of you. Smee, there's no reason to think he's upset. Look at his frail thing. He's not mad at her. I know you want to protect your sis, but no reason to make things more confusing than they gotta be. Hook, don't worry about rules that aren't in play. No reason to think the same rules apply for Squishy anyway. He's an elam, not a human. Don't think being compared with a puppy bothers him much." Kirill reluctantly let go of his yellow corn stick, dropping it into his hand. "Does it bother Cumans?" Sometimes. Mostly if we feel like we're being bothered anyway. Don't worry about it, it's complicated." The captain waved his hand, as if shooing the topic away. "I'm not here about that anyway." Kirill's frills flared as he scrambled to his feet. Do you have an answer for me, Captain?" "Well, yeah, actually. There's another thing we're doing that shouldn't have any fighting. Some dumb schmuck crashed his ship into an asteroid and bailed on the thing. It went down on a planet that's too warm for them, and they haven't gotten around to hauling it up yet. We're going in to get some bits out of it if we can. Grumpy wants more engine bits, and any leftovers we can use for the lamp." The captain shrugged. "Shouldn't be too difficult. Can elam survive in an atmosphere that's mostly sulfur oxides?"
Probably."
Kirill thought for a minute, then sighed.
"I think there's a sulfur trioxide band in the narrow band zone."
"I don't like trusting till I think so. I'll have Grumpy make you a helmet." The captain paused for a minute, then bared his teeth. "This'll be your first time putting boots on the ground in Tizik space, won't it? Probably won't be too exciting though. Mostly poking around in a wreck, but you can come along if you want." Kirill's frills stained deep fuchsia with tinges of yellow on the spines.
"Thank you, Captain. I was running out of things to report."
You're not even sending the reports though, Smee commented as the captain opened his mouth to reply. Why are you running out of things to report?
Because nothing's happening.
Kirill took a deep breath and let it out slowly.
I don't have much to do but play the plant game with Sneezy, or make reports and save them.
Well, how about this then? Smee reached into a pocket and pulled out some sort of thin strand of spun fibres. It was very long, and he wrapped one end around his finger before tossing the other out in front of him. The fibre strand must not have been too heavy, because it floated a bit and didn't go exactly where Smee had tried to toss it. At the sudden noise, Kirill's frills rose slightly, and Captain Amelia lifted her head off her forelegs. Smee looked like he knew something Kirill didn't know, and it was somewhat worrying. Then Smee pulled the strand of fibres towards him, past Captain Amelia, and Kirill suddenly discovered what exactly it was that Smee knew. How was that little clawed ball of fuzz so quick, or so focused on a quickly moving fibre strand? Captain Amelia's eyes never seemed to lose track of the fibre, no matter how many times Smee tried to bring it around behind her. She always knew where it was, and was never more than an instant behind. Smee bared his teeth and raised the end of the strand to almost twice Captain Amelia's length above the floor. As it swayed slightly back and forth, Kirill found himself watching the Cuman's cat. The eyes that hadn't missed the strand for a second while it was on the floor were still trained on it, but it was so high up now. Kirill felt a bit sad, watching her watch it move in the air. This seemed mean, to keep a toy away from her. Captain Amelia bobbed her head and crouched a bit, then a bit lower, and then lower still. She did a strange little tapping dance with her back legs, still bobbing her head, and then she jumped. And she caught the little string, gripped it in her teeth and dragged it all the way to the floor before decisively biting down on it, pinning it, and determinedly chewing the end. Kirill sat with very wide eyes for several minutes after Captain Amelia decided she was done chasing the fibre. She had sat down next to him, busily licking one paw and rubbing it behind one ear, which generally Kirill would have found endearing, but could she possibly still be endearing after what he'd just witnessed?
Is she an apex predator on Earth?
Kirill found his voice squeaking slightly as he asked the question. Well, I guess, sort of. The captain scratched the back of his head. I mean, cats are pretty small. Sure, there's lions and tigers. Well, now there's tigers again. But the ones we keep for pets are about her size. Maybe smaller sometimes. So sometimes there'll be things that want to tangle with a cat. But those aren't too common. Coyotes, I guess. Alex's facial features twisted up oddly. Yeah, lions this, tigers that. Jaguars are the ones I'm scared of. That's weird, Smee commented, not very helpfully. Kirill had no idea what all these animals were, and he started to think that it might not be in his best interest to find out.
So, Captain Amelia just does this? That jump, I mean, she just... What in the...
Wasn't there some kind of African cat that can do twice that? Several. Bashful's voice came from a speaker. Kirill jumped, startling Captain Amelia. Whoa, Bashful, when'd you get access to the station? It's recent. Is that what you've been doing with Dopey? The captain muttered under his breath. Well, some of what we've been doing. I'm not sure you want to keep asking, Cap. Probably not, the captain sighed heavily. Well, don't listen to everything, please. Privacy and all that. Bashful's voice sounded a bit displeased, but Kirill wasn't sure why. Cap, I thought you'd want to know what I found when my babe opened access to the station. What did you find? The captain's voice was now sharp and keen. Nothing. The soft drawl was quiet. Absolutely nothing. Not even the ghost of a data packet. Nobody could make a packet completely vanish like that. Not even my babe. The captain's shoulders seemed to slouch slightly as he exhaled in a rush. It didn't sound quite like a sigh, but Kirill wasn't sure if there was a non-sigh breath like that for humans. So we're in the clear. That's the theory. The captain nodded. You're right, Bashful. I did want to know that bit. Captain Amelia climbed onto Kirill's lap and began licking at the stick of corn still clutched in his hand. Kirill only partly noticed. Most of his mind was busy with Captain Amelia's giant leap and the glint of her sharp teeth chewing the fibre, and something called a jaguar. Maybe he hadn't really considered, in all of this, the number of predators on the Cuman's Earth. He certainly hadn't realised how effective of a predator their cats could be. Read by a Good Bean.